How many times does one come across an instance where, on the one side, a convicted rapist's sentence is suspended on strict bail conditions, while on the other side, the survivor, who was at the time a minor when the rape was committed, is dragged by CRPF officials along with her mother and other activists inside a bus, only for her mother to be shoved out later and for her to be driven away to her house, to be lodged inside, and to be barred from protesting for her rights, which is keep my assaulter inside. So what happened? On the 23rd of December 2025, the Delhi High Court suspended the sentence of Kuldeep Singh Sengar. Now, this does not mean that he is not guilty. The presumption of innocence died on the day that he was convicted by the trial court in 2019. But by this suspension of his sentence, he is now let out on strict bail conditions, and now there is a question of law whether he was convicted under the right provision of the POCSO Act at all or not. According to Section 5C of the POCSO Act, for which the punishment is given under Section 6, aggravated penetrative sexual assault by a public servant on a child, which the POCSO Act legislates, then surmounts to life imprisonment. But here the word public servant comes under supervision. Public servant, according to the IPC Section 21, does not include legislators like the MLA Kuldeep Singh Sengar. But the trial court back in 2019, while pronouncing the judgment, used the definition of public servant as given in the Prevention of Corruption Act, which includes MLAs as public servants. So now, on this anomaly of whether the term public servant should be taken in accordance to the IPC, in which rape is also given, or should be taken in accordance to Prevention of Corruption Act, which includes MLA as a public servant, is to be considered, is to be reconsidered. And on this particular ground, Kuldeep Singh Sengar has been let out on strict bail. Delhi High Court also says that if not aggravated penetrative assault, because it would be aggravated if he would come under the bar of public servant, because when public servant comes in, the idea of authority in our criminal law comes in, an authoritative relationship between the survivor and the perpetrator. With the removal of that particular clause, he has already served the standard 7 years of imprisonment. In fact, more than that, which is 8. So, on these questionable grounds, Kuldeep Singh Sengar was granted a suspension of sentence. However, what is peculiar in this case is that his 10 years of imprisonment of having caused the custodial death of the father of the survivor, of having been involved in police callousness and the truck-car collision in which the survivor's 2 aunts died, the 10 years of sentence of that is still going on. And the last time this man had any authority outside the prison, deaths occurred like that just mentioned. So is the survivor really safe now?
मुझे बहुत दुख हुआ, मुझे लगा मैं यहीं पे सुसाइड कर लूं, लेकिन मैंने अपने 2 बच्चे, अपने परिवार के बारे में सोचा कि हमारे मासूम से बच्चों ने क्या बिगाड़ा जो बिना माँ के हो जाएंगे.
Is the survivor who is being manhandled by cops, by CRPF personals who are themselves responsible for protecting her house 24/7 for the past 9 years? For the past 9 years of when she has tried to build a normal life, she's tried to marry, she has a wonderful husband, a child, and now for all of this to come back up again 9 years later, has justice really been served or has it been delayed and denied?
रेप के आरोपी को तो डायरेक्ट फांसी होनी चाहिए, डायरेक्ट मौत के घाट उतारना चाहिए, लेकिन इस सरकार में तो दरिंदगी बहुत ज्यादा हो गई है.
The Central Bureau of Investigation, or CBI, which took charge of this case, had put an appeal in the Supreme Court challenging this order of the High Court. And even the Supreme Court has observed the anomaly of the definition of public servant, where this man is clearly in a position of authority, was, might I say, in a position of authority when the crime was committed in 2017. And how, if a police constable considered a public servant, will an MLA not be? This is what the Supreme Court, not myself, the Supreme Court itself has pointed out. So is this stay a really big win for the survivor? No, not really. And let me tell you why. For the legislators, this particular stay is another chance to reconsider whether to redefine public servant or to clarify what it stands for. But even if it does, retrospectively, amendments or laws are not applicable in India unless exceptionally certified. So there is again a minus chance of this benefiting the survivor at all or not. Secondly, this case reopening and going again in appeal calls for the resubmission of all the evidence, for the survivor having to stand in the court and go through the re-traumatization of that unfateful day once again.
आगे क्या करने का सोच रही हैं?
मेरा आगे ही करने का, मैं सुप्रीम कोर्ट जाऊंगी और मुझे सुप्रीम कोर्ट पे आंख बंद करके भरोसा है कि मुझे न्याय मिलेगा.
This is anything but a win for her. For the courts, this is again a defining moment when they have to either draw a line of jurisdiction where they take up their hands and say that they cannot, like the Delhi High Court also said, redefine what public servant stands for because that is the jurisdiction of the legislature. Or to step up for the survivor, churn out the justice delivery system and define once for all that MLA is also included under the definition of public servant. But this again has a very low chance of happening. And even if it does, it then brings upon a serious moral question upon the judiciary itself.
देश का पहला ऑर्डर है कि रेप केस में सजा रोकते हुए उसे बाहर कर दिया, मतलब जमानत दे दी गई है.
And finally, for the justice delivery mechanism of India, this is another battle where the survivor continues to survive re-traumatization, social stigma, and the sheer fear of the perpetrator still not only being alive in this case, but out and alive now. This is why this particular case of Unnao of 2017 is more than just a women's rights issue. It is the issue of the whole of the justice delivery system of India. Continue with us for more updates. This is Aparna from Censor Board. Thank you.